just present the church glorified tonight, and I want you that your name is listed high above all else. And just give you all honor, glory, and praise. So I thank you again. In your name I pray. Amen. You guys can go ahead and take a seat.
So as we continue in the story, like I set up earlier, in talking about where we are in the story after the fall and how Jesus comes to rescue us. I think sometimes some things can be absolutely amazing and we totally don't understand it. Some things can be absolutely incredible and yet they have no meaning to us. I go to lunch with Adam, the guy who was singing just now. We go to lunch fairly routinely. We work together, and so we'll go out to lunch. And Tuesday, we went out to lunch. We went to A&W, Long John Silver's right here. It's wonderful. I don't know if you've ever been. But we go, and we actually tried to go to Popeyes first, which is where we went today. But it was crowded, so we went to Long John Silver's. And as we sat down, we started talking about things that mattered to us. And of course, because it was Tuesday, or maybe this was yesterday, or whatever, I don't know. Yes, it was Wednesday because Tuesday night had happened, and everybody knows that Tuesday night means Teen Mom. Who in here watches Teen Mom? So Tuesday night means Teen Mom. So Adam and I both watch Teen Mom. And so here we are, two heterosexual males sitting in a booth at A&W Long John Silver's discussing pregnant or young single mothers and how they're raising their babies. And we're like, oh my gosh, I know. And Farrah, she needs to get her acting. And we're talking back and forth and really discussing this. And like, we're both in passion. And I'm even making a point. I'm like, you know who's my favorite now? Because I'm really mad at Macy. I think Farrah's my favorite now because I'm so mad at Macy. She's bitter and she's acting. And we're having this discussion. I can imagine, someone overhearing this discussion and being like, okay, those guys are really, really lame. I don't like those guys. In fact, I question their sexuality. In fact, I don't like them at all. And even today, and this has nothing to do with anything, but today, Adam's door is like, if you go to the passenger side door and unlock using the key, it unlocks all the doors simultaneously. So we went to unlock that door, which is the door that I was going to get into his car, and he unlocks all the doors simultaneously, and then he opens the door. And I'm like, dude, you just opened the door for me. And so I quickly hopped in and shut the door. I'm like, let's go, let's go, let's go. But there are some things that if we don't fully understand them, then we don't really appreciate them at all, because understanding brings appreciation. And once we get to know something and realize it, we can appreciate it for who it is, for what it is, for the situation that it is. There's a guy named Joshua Bell, and he's like the greatest American violinist. I know what you're thinking. He's even better than this other American violinist I know? I know, because nobody knows who American violinists are. It's not something you talk about in school, unless maybe you're like really into violin, which, is anybody really into violin? Not that I don't have any violin jokes. Amazing, I know, right? So there's this guy named Joshua Bell, and he lives in D.C., and the Washington Post contacted him. And they wanted to see, they were doing a series talking about beauty in life and beauty in the world, and how so many times we just walk right by beauty and art and we don't even recognize it because we're so busy, or we're so consumed with ourselves, or we're so consumed with other things going on. And so they took this guy who typically makes about $10,000 an hour. If you said, hey, I'm having a birthday party, we'd really love for you to come play violin for about an hour, he'd be like, sure, I'd love to come, it's $10,000. And so, write him out a check. And so whenever he goes to play around the world, it's $10,000. And so they contracted with him and they said, we want you to go and play the violin just like a regular street performer and do it in a DC metro station. And so we're going to look at a video here in just a second of him playing the violin. It's got audio of him and he's playing the violin. And notice how everybody walks by. Everybody completely ignores what's going on. There are a couple people who kind of stop and give him money until the very end. In the last 20 seconds, this lady recognizes him. And she stops and she stands there. And it's incredible because she's standing there. She's got like a little grocery bag. And she's just watching him. She's enthralled. And she's like, oh my gosh, this is Joshua Bell, right? And so she realizes that it's him, while all these people stream in and out. So watch this video because I think it's really interesting to watch him and how people interact with him. looked at the video, as they looked at how many people came through, it was over 5,000 people during the 2 hours that he played, came through, and most of them just flew right by. They had no idea who it was, they had no idea how good he was, and they didn't stop to appreciate it. Now, Joshua Bell, the reality is that Joshua Bell was there, and he's this amazing musician, but only one person stopped and realized that. It's like, this is amazing. One person's life was changed. He will forever talk about that. I talked to him face to face. I was 5 feet away from him, and I listened to him for 30 minutes playing, and it changed her life. I'm sure she'll talk about it for years and years and years. And yet everybody else had that exact same opportunity. The exact same opportunity. Everybody else had the same reality. But yet they lacked the understanding of what was happening. They failed to appreciate it. I think a lot of times we fail to realize the gravity of the situation. We fail to realize the gravity of what's going on. When I went to Romania, I went on a mission trip to Romania, I think it was 2 years ago. And we were going, and I was one of the staff that was going, and so I knew that there might be more things that I was asked to do because I'm on staff. And so we go, and we get to the airport, and right before we get out, Bruce James, the executive pastor here, he turns to me and he's like, "Hey, Josh, I need you to carry this." And he hands me an envelope, and it's one of those money envelopes. And I look at it, I'm like, "Well, what's in here?" He's like, "It's $6,000. Just hang on to it the entire time while we go to Romania." And I'm like, "You want me to hang on? You're telling me right now that I have to hang on to $6,000. And he's like, "Yeah, don't lose it." I'm like, "Okay, I won't lose it. That's a lot of money. I don't have that much money." So I shoved it in my backpack. And suddenly my backpack became the most valuable possession in the world. I literally never let it out of my sight. As we went through security, I kept it in my hands until right before it's time to put on the conveyor belt, and I put it down, and I was peeking in, trying to watch it come out. And then when it came out, I walked through like this. Whenever we got to the other side, one of the people that was on the trip was joking around with me. It was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna steal all the money out of your backpack." I'm like, "Dude, why are you talking so loud? Dude, come on, somebody's gonna knife me. Somebody's gonna steal all the money." And I'm worried to death. And I'm I'm probably in a fairly safe spot, and yet I'm worried, I'm scared. And so I literally never let it out of my sight. And when we were on the plane, it was an overnight flight. And I sat there. I didn't use the overhead compartment for it. I put it down at my feet, and I wrapped the straps around my feet, and I had my feet resting. I was like this, and about every 30 minutes, if someone bumped into me, I was like,